Did you know you can kidnap ship vendors in Starfield? Yes, you can trap them on board your ship and even use them to repair your ship mid-flight. A Starfield player made the discovery recently and posted about it on the game's official subreddit. The player details how they managed to trap the ship vendor on board their ship using the manipulate skill. And honestly, this is genius. Not only does trapping the ship vendor give you access to their full buy and sell options, but you can actually use them to repair your ship mid-flight. So if you're in a space dogfight and you're taking damage, just keep talking to the vendor and fixing your ship over and over again. It does cost you credits each time, but it also means you will never run out of ship parts to repair your ship. So you can keep using this method to fly infinitely, or, until your money runs out. And another thing, theoretically, you could use this vendor kidnapping method to kidnap tons of vendors, stow them in your ship, and then sell all of your contraband to them in one big mobile money farm. So let's see if we can pull that off in this video, or if it all crumbles around us. But along the way, if you're enjoying the video, do not be afraid to hit that like button. Nothing bad will happen. So how do we trap the vendor on board our ship? Well, it turns out it's actually pretty difficult. When someone on Reddit asked how this player did it, the player who came up with it said they basically used manipulate on a vendor, boarded the ship, and the vendor followed. If you didn't know, the manipulate skill is a social skill in Starfield, which you unlock by leveling up. To use the manipulate skill, enter the scanner mode with LB and press A to manipulate your targets. You have a 30% chance of pulling off a successful manipulate, so if it doesn't work, you can't try again for a while. It does have quite a long cooldown. That's why I suggest quick saving right before you try this, so if it doesn't work, you can reload and try again. Once the target is under your control, you can then direct them with simple actions, so you can make them follow you, stay in a certain spot, or open a door or a container for you. But how do we get them inside the ship itself? According to the player, quote, "At first, I tried to have the manipulated person open the hatch, but they can't. Then it takes a few seconds for you to be able to open it. Don't go directly to the cockpit, that doesn't seem to work. Then I make a beeline for the pilot's chair, and as soon as I see the icon for the manipulated person pop up in the ship, I take off." End quote. This thereby traps the vendor on board the ship for eternity. The thing is though, this method doesn't work for me. Once I enter the ship, the manipulated vendor doesn't follow me, waits on the entrance ramp, and then after about 30 seconds just wanders off. You can actually see their icon under the ship, but they never enter the hatch. Even if you do sit in the pilot's chair as instructed and take off, upon leaving the chair and searching the ship while you're in space, the vendor is nowhere to be found. Now, I tried a few variations on this method. For instance, I tried a different vendor located at Gagarin. This vendor is in a pretty good spot, not too far away from the ship, and that's good because if they are too far away, manipulator characters do tend to stop following you. There's a sort of leash distance that you have to not increase too much. But again, when we board the ship, this vendor as well did not follow us, and I was starting to get very frustrated. I also tried this with a different ship because maybe the ship matters when doing this and the vendor can't find the right pathway through the ship. But even with a new ship, it didn't work. So despite following the Starfield player's methods exactly, the vendor just isn't seeming to come on board my ship. That's why I decided to break the rules. If you play on PC like me, the option to break the rules is always open to you, and that's exactly what I did. Now, excuse the frame rate lag here as my laptop overheated and slowed the gameplay right down for about 30 seconds. But what I did was use console commands to move the vendor to me. And for this, all I did is enter the console, which is a PC only feature of course, click on the vendor and type move to player, exactly as it's written on the screen. The vendor will teleport to your location. They'll keep trying to return to their starting position once they've spawned, but as long as you move them to your ship, they will not be able to leave. So get them on the entrance ramp, then board the ship. Type move to player once you're on the ship, and the vendor will spawn in your ship. Again, if you leave them too long, they will exit the airlock and walk back to their original location. But to stop this, quickly race to the pilot's chair and take off. They will be trapped aboard your ship permanently. Once once in space, you now have your very own ship vendor. You can buy, sell, and repair all without touching down on a planet and visiting a ship vendor. You never have to do this ever again. But I do have to give a warning that there is one thing you should not do at this vendor, and that is to swap ship. If you swap your ship to a new one, the game will crash and you will have to reload your save, because logistically that wouldn't really work. You cannot swap your ship over in the vacuum of space. And another thing I did notice, if you engage with any UC ships, the vendor will actually turn hostile. So here I am fighting some UC ships above the New Atlantis planet of Jemison. Then I noticed I was taking damage, and what was happening was the vendor was actually shooting me in the back. Those UC employees, they all seem to stick together. But anyway, that's how to get a vendor on board your ship in Starfield. Of course, that's not the only way you can have fun with the manipulate skill. In the Reddit thread, the poster mentions that they trapped a bounty hunter on board their ship as well. And every time the player did something illegal, the bounty hunter tried to arrest them. So that's kind of a figure you don't really want to fly with. And hey, maybe you could manipulate a crew member on board your ship to act as free labor without taking up a crew slot. So go to a bar, recruit someone by using the manipulate skill, get them on board your ship, and you have a free crew member without taking up a crew slot. I don't know if that will work though, we're just theorizing here. But for me, I like to use the manipulate skill to steal from vendors. And all you do for this is direct a vendor to wait in a back room when you're in their shop, steal all of their stuff, then leave. No witnesses, loads of free gear. Anyway, just wanted to show off this cool little feature a Starfield player found and tested it out for myself. Apparently there is a way you can do this on console completely glitch free, just like this player did, all by using the manipulate skill. But in my case, it didn't really work, so I had to rely on using console commands. But hey, if you can find a way to do this in your game, do let me know, as I would love to hear how you get on. That's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and for more Starfield videos, subscribe to the channel.
Anything you need to offload? Trade Authority is always buying. Kiosk right here for you.